We're talking to
Thank you, God.
a two-time Super Bowl champion, a man who has one of the most epic plays in the history of the biggest game in the biggest league, where he took a 103-yard pick to the house off of Kurt Warner and won the Super Bowl. Ladies and gentlemen, making his acting, I don't know if it's a debut because he did have the FanDuel commercial in which he speared a nerd in the front yard, which we were thankful for. He'll be on Heels, which is coming out on Stars, an incredible, I don't know if it's a sitcom drama, that will be about the wrestling world behind the scenes. I can't wait to watch. Also, Fox Sports 1 football analyst, ladies and gentlemen, Debo James Harrison.
Yay!
Hey, how are you, boss?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm great. Now, listen, okay? I saw you doing wrestling training. I saw you working on some suplexes. Obviously, we've all seen you go absolutely ham and bananas in the gym and in your house with your kids and planking forever. Are you going to be a professional wrestler after this Heels thing? It looked like you picked this up very easily.
No, never. I'm not going to be a professional wrestler. Even though wrestling, the outcome of wrestling is fake because you already know it. The actual physical punishment that you take is real. So hitting that mat, getting thrown onto that mat, all that shit, that's real. That's not fake. And if you land the wrong way, that could be it. You know, we had one of our, Stephen Amell, he actually did a compression fracture of his spine because he landed the wrong way. So he was out for about 4 or 6 weeks.
So let's talk about that. Stephen Amell is the lead, I believe. How are you? Are you a reoccurring character? Are you a part of the main thing? How much are we going to see of James Harrison in Heels?
You'll see me in every episode. I'm going to see.
That's awesome. Did you know you're going to be an actor? Is this something you wanted to do? Did they approach you? How'd this happen?
I started after I retired, and I wanted to get into something that was challenging because, you know, I got a little bit of stage fright. You know, I was scared to talk in front of cameras. And, you know, I did very little talking when I played, probably from about 2005 until about 8 or 9. And it was just another challenge. You know, it gave me the opportunity to go out there, conquer fear, and, you know, give me something that, you know, that was a challenge. So I went and did it, you know, got an acting coach, all that. And I guess from what I understand, I got lucky. You know, a lot of guys go 10, 12 years before they actually get a season, you know, regular gig. So I did mine in about 9 months. Pete Siegel and Mike O'Malley, and, you know, did my read for them. And, you know, they liked what they heard, and they actually gave me a call. So I'm thinking they calling me to give me the you know, the soft letdown. They're like, hey, you know, we liked what you did, and da-da-da-da. And Mike's like, well, let me call, you know, Pete, put Pete on the line. I'm like, listen, I'm thinking in my head, if y'all go tell me I ain't get this shit, just say it now. You don't need to do it together. And and do it nice, you know. And, you know, so Pete gets on the phone, and he's like, you know, the scene from Jerry Maguire, he's like, where he's telling him, this is your future calling. He said, this is your future calling. You got the part. You got a future in this business. So, you know, that was my go-to. So, you know, I was lucky, you know, to get that opportunity. Extremely blessed, of course, you know, and we're where we're at right now, and hopefully, you know, the ratings are good right now. I think it's 95 on Rotten Tomatoes and a 93 on the.
Okay.
Well, we're doing pretty good.
Hey, yeah, you may have been lucky to get the audition, but it was up to you to actually get the job. Like, they're not just handing those out. There's plenty of other people that won it, so I'm sure you did great. But when you got there and you did, like, the day-to-day and being you're a legit actor, was it what you expected? Is it something that you absolutely want to continue to do?
Oh, yes. I mean, it's something I definitely absolutely want to continue to do and try and get better at and excel at. And hopefully, you know, I'm trying to step into where the Rock will have to step down at it, hopefully. So, but the biggest thing for me, I don't want to say it was easier than what I thought, but remembering the lines was easier than what I thought, because you don't just read something one time. Like, you go in there, and if you do a scene, you done did that scene 5, 6, 7 times before they actually get a cut that they may splice together that is the best of, you know, all of them in the different angles. So, you know, when you're doing a scene and they got like 2-3 cameras or 2-3 people in there, and they got a scene where it's looking at you, then it's looking at you, then it's looking at you. Those are all different reads, and you'll do those over 3, 4 times. It's a scene in this actual drama that we filmed for 12, 14 hours. And it may be a minute, 15 seconds of the whole show. Yeah, because
James,
we had
I wouldn't be able to do that. That's a talent in of itself, by the way.
hurry up and wait mentality. So when they say, "Hey, be here at 9," yeah, be there at 9. But you might not shoot till 12 or 1. That's the thing that's frustrating for me. Like, when they tell you to be there at 9 in the game, football time on the meeting, you better be there at like 8:45. So that was it was a little getting used to that, and I had to do some talking with like the people that were in control of that to get them to understand, like, if we're going to be late and we're going to run back, like, tell me, because I'm sitting here in full outfit. And like, I got Alan Maldonado, who I became close with because we ended up working out together, and our characters are two who work with each other a lot in this drama. So he's like, dude, do not get dressed. Don't do nothing until they knock on your trailer and say, hey, we want you to head out to the set. He said, don't do nothing till then. I'm like, so I'm just supposed to sit in here? He's like, yes. He's like, the one day, listen, I swear, I reported at, I believe it was 9 o'clock in the morning. They let me go home at about 8 o'clock that evening. I didn't even go on set. But, I got a nice little trailer. I got a little bed, TV, microwave, refrigerator. I got the whole setup, shower, all that. So, it wasn't too bad. But the biggest thing is trying to fit your lines and your emotions, together. And that's the hardest thing is actually the acting part of it, and getting into the emotional scene set and mindset of what that, requires in that specific scene.
There's such an interesting, and thank you for sharing that, by the way, because I think AJ and I, who have potentially gotten a chance to see the way some of these commercial shoots happen, it's like, hey, there's a lot of different ways to go about business, I'm learning, because much like you, James, I think anybody in a football world, your meeting time is literally your life, okay? So It's like, we got meeting at this time, you got treatment at this time, you got practice at this time, you're off at this time, rehabs this time, like, it's all there. And when you're sitting there for 11 hours, and you're like, we'll get to that thing we're supposed to do earlier tomorrow, actually. It's like, all right, I don't know how you guys do it, but I appreciate it. I can't wait to see the entire season of Heels. Let's talk a little football. James, congrats on the success post-football. Obviously, you being a monster on the internet is also worth a watch every single day. Thank you for inspiring people to lift more weights than most superhumans can. Let's talk football, though. This taunting thing, all right? I've been furious about this, okay? Because a point of emphasis means that they want to change the way the game is for the long haul. You were on the receiving end of a point of emphasis for the season 1 year, and it has changed over the years, and you were at a different stage of football, as was AJ and everybody else, and they tried to change that thing quickly. What are your thoughts on the rules evolving and changing in the NFL? And this is a loaded question. I assume you're against it because it cost you a couple $1 million whenever they decided to change the rule out of nowhere. But how do you feel about it overall, James?
I'm not against anything that's for the betterment of the game. And even when they started attacking, what I was doing, I understand why you did it, because they were facing a lot of issues with lawsuits and everything else. So they were trying to get the game to be safer. But you can't take a game that is violent, played at 1,000 miles an hour, and make it 100% safe. You can't. And a lot of these penalties where they're doing these targeting and all that other stuff is absolute bullshit. You cannot get your head out of the way. And if you put your head out of the way to tackle somebody, you're going to tear up your rotator cuff. You're going to knock out your AC. You're going to knock out your AC joint or break the damn collarbone. You don't tackle anybody like this. It doesn't happen like that. You have to get your head across the bow. Why? Because it's harder for him to go through this than it is for him to go through a simple arm tackle. And like right now, I teach my kids, see what you hit, face up, take that right nail, put it right there on his chin, and like, I'm not telling you to duck your head and do this. Rydell sits right here. Ain't that right? Hawk. Rydell sits right.
Hey, I'm coaching right now too, my first year.
It's a glancing blow here. Head off, wrap up. And like I said, I understand them trying to make the game safer, but the taunting thing is simple. If you want to go, as soon as you get up to do something, just turn around. Don't face the dude that you just knocked over, ran over. It's easy. Instead of, that's it. Like, you just got fined because you wanted to give him 2 seconds of looking at him. No, don't give him that. You just gave 15 yards back now.
Hey, it makes sense to me.
To get away from. Turn to your sideline, turn to your teammates. Look at them. Think of him. Look at them.
It's like acting. It's some acting trick you probably picked up with your acting coach, it sounds like. Hey, when you went to New England, I know you weren't there long, but you were there you went to the Super Bowl with them. Was it what you expected? I've always wondered what it would be like to be in that building and play for Belichick.
You know, A is A, B is B, and it's the same thing from the top to the bottom. And, you know, when I first got there, obviously the first person I met was Tom, and, you know, he just introduced himself as if I didn't know who the hell he was. Like, but he does that with everybody. And you know, he's just a genuinely good person, you know, and I wanted to hate him when I got there. So I'm like, you know, this is, you know, he feeding me some BS, you know, he's just being a good guy in front of me. So I'm sitting back watching him for like a week or two. And finally I had to tell him, I'm like, dude, I wanted to come here and hate you. He's sitting up there getting taken. I wanted to hate you. I'm like, but I sat back and watched you. Like, that's why everybody like him, man. He's a good dude. From the practice squad guy that comes in the first day, he's like, hey, how you doing? I'm Tom Brady. Like, they don't know who the hell he is. Like, that's just him. That's his personality. He's just a good dude. And when you get there, it is, if you don't like being told what to do and having to conform to what it is that they want you to do, then you won't like playing there because it is regimented. I don't have a problem with regimen. It's not an issue for me. I enjoyed my time there. I can't say anything negative about the experience there. I mean, when it came to meetings, like, you better be at meetings on time. I don't even know what happened if you're late to meetings. Like, I turned around and I'm sitting in my locker, and my locker was like right next to the door. And I catch a glimpse of somebody just running past. And as I look back over this shoulder, I see it's Tom, and I'm like, he running to the meeting. I'm like, oh shit, I'm late. So, you know, if I see him, if I see him running, I had to go, but it was still like 3-4 minutes left. But that's just how it is there. You know what I'm saying? It's regimented, and like I said, I had no problem with it. They say no.
Diehard Steelers fan Diggs has a question for you. I'm happy to hear that, by the way, because I think that is like I think a lot of people say that about the Patriots dynasty. It's like, hey, it was regimented. This is how it was, but everybody knew that was how it was whenever you got up there. I'm happy to hear that you had a similar experience. Diggs is a diehard Steelers fan. I can't wait to hear what he has to ask.
James, thank you for all you did for the organization, first and foremost. Secondly, there were so many big personalities that have gone on to do media from that locker room. Ryan Clark, Ike Taylor, Willie Colon, who else? Ramon Foster, Hines has done some stuff. But it seemed like when you guys were on the team and in the locker room and on the field, those personalities kind of went away and you put that to the side. What was that locker room like with all those personalities? But then, was it Tomlin? Was it Cowher? Those kind of went away when you got on the field.
No, we were a team, first and foremost. It was no individuals. I think this modern era of social media and everybody wanting followers and likes and all this other stuff has really torn apart that fabric. We didn't have all of that when we first got in. We barely had internet and you know, pictures and all that. So when we did things together. It was times where you would spend more time with your teammates than you actually did with your family. So we'd go out and it wasn't, oh, I need my area, this guy needs this area. It was, no, we need something for 25 people. We got 25 coming and everybody gonna hang together, you know? And that was just how it was. That's just how, when I got there, you know, Joy Porter, that's just how it was. Hey, I was a practice squad dude. They're like, yo, where you at? We out here, we're there. Come on. And I was just practice squad. I didn't even play in regular season games or anything like that. So that's just how they ran the team. That's just how the team was made and molded. And, you know, I think as those players started to either retire or were released, then you started getting that new age generation, and, you know, it's where it's at now.
What year did you go into the league, James?
2002.
Okay, so you were 7 years ahead of me. 2009 is when I got into the league or whatever, and AJ's in between us, I believe. What were you, AJ, 2006?
Yeah, 2006.
Okay, so in that area, I caught like the tail end, I think, of that generation though. Like my first 4 or 5 years, 3, 4, 5 years, it really was that old school mentality. It was Peyton's team. It was when everybody was invited everywhere. That whole team bond, because there was nothing else to do, by the way. There was shit else to do, really. So it felt like, hey, this is what we should do. This is what we do. By the end of my career, I played 8 years. By the end of my career, locker room was very different. I was a big locker room bounce around guy. Locker room was a vastly different place just in my 8 years, let alone over 20. And I think it's only going to continue to change as technology does, which is going to change competition as a whole, I think, James, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, like I said, the evolution of even, just, I don't want to say softer, but the changing of the game and how things are dealt with and how people, handle adversity. You got now where you got, younger guys that are coming in and you want to get on them and try and toughen them up. And it's like, no, don't do that. I don't know if I don't know if his personality can handle, tough love. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the whole pussification of just the
I love it, by the way. That is hey, if James Harrison, Debo, doesn't come on here and question some things being soft, I mean, did we really even have a fucking conversation with James Harrison? Because that's a real thing. Hey, it's a very real thing. And I don't want to say like getting soft, because I think it is, though, because everybody's kind of learning about what pisses people off and what doesn't. But I think that never really having to face adversity thing, which has been happening, and I think you had a great take. I think one of your kids got like a 5th place trophy or something like that, and you had an entire situation. But in college, if there's any adversity, you can just transfer out of there. You can just go to another place. You can go somewhere else. And there's a lot of guys that are about to get cut for the first time here in the NFL, where it's like, hey, this is a business now. And you had to deal with adversity. You said you're on practice squad. There's been ups, there's been downs of your thing. How do you think we keep that type of grit in the game and in society whenever there's so many different options? I think that's going to be a tough thing. The battling through adversity is going to be something.
I don't think you can keep that type of grit. You can't get that type of grit because nobody has to go through anything anymore. A lot of things are being handed to people, and it's not like you're truly working for everything that you had to get. And I could bring that to like even my kids. My kids will never know what it was like. They can never be like me. They're never going to have that drive and that, because they're living in I put them in a different situation. I'm happy that I could do that. But my parents weren't able to put me in that situation. I had been working since I was 11 years old, like a real, like scrubbing, cleaning floors, like doing all of that shit since I would leave junior high and go work until 5, 6 o'clock cleaning offices. And then my dad picked me up because it would be at the same place and I'd go home, So I've been a worker, a grinder since I was 11, 12 years old. And that's not something that you're going to have into today's kids. It's just not there. Everybody want to go, I could go TikTok and Twitter or Instagram and get my followers up, and they'll get me, likes, and I'll get some money from that. And it's just, you're not going to have that physical grind, manual work.
Yeah, James, I have 4 young kids myself, and I wonder the same thing. Like, what can we do? Like, what can people do that have kids to at least create some adversity for them that they can learn to fight through it?
I don't want to create any adversity for my kids, to be honest. I don't. Because I enough, and I don't want them thinking that I'm against them or trying to make anything harder for them. But I want them to understand that in life, you will have to earn everything that you get. Nothing will be given to you. And I'm not going to be the person that's going to teach you that it's going to be given to you. So I'm not going to give you nothing. I'm not going to let anybody else give you something that you didn't earn. That's all I can do.
Watching you parent, by the way, on social media, and obviously we only get glimpses, is really cool, man. I appreciate you so much. I hope you enjoy the hell. Oh, wait, Ty. Sorry, Ty. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, James, I was just curious. With seeing, like, what you've been doing, like, do you miss playing football and, like, hitting guys at all? Or, like, now that you're kind of getting into acting a little bit, like, has it made it easier? Is it the same thing where, we talk to a lot of people and it's like you miss the locker room, you miss the camaraderie. Do you miss actually, like, hitting guys at all?
Listen, I have no desire to physically dominate, be hit, anything about football. This acting, wrestling is great. Why? Because the guy is working with me to do the things that I'm trying to do to him, and we're trying to do that as safe as possible, make it look as painful as possible, with as least pain as we can give each other. So I have no desire to have to go through the day-to-day grind, acupuncture, dry needle, chiropractic. I mean, you're talking about anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000 a year I would spend on my body in care. I don't have to do that anymore because I'm not tearing my body up and then having, my body workers put me back together so I could just do the same damn thing again the next week.
Hey, I appreciate that. And I appreciate everything you did for the sport, man. You were awesome to watch for a very long time. I can't wait to see you in heels. Congrats. It not like wearing it. You get it. Like in that, that's on me. I'm excited to see.
Heels stars come on every Sunday at 9:00, and you done missed the first show. So get your fat ass over there and watch.
All right, I'll run over there. I'll do some push-ups as well. Yeah, I'll try my best. Ladies and gentlemen, James Harrison. Thank you, man. Hey, Debo, man.
I love that
Awesome.
guy.
He's a deep thinker, man. Like he's everything. Yeah. He seems very calculated too. It's very impressive.
You practice squad guy turned into, Pro Bowler and everything he has done. You're going to have to be a deep thinker probably because you've been through a lot of shit. You have to find ways to get out of the situation you're in, figure out what can be better, make it better, battle through it. The pussification, I mean, it was right around the bend.
Yeah.
It was right around the bend, that entire thing. It's real that we live in a much different world than we did just 15, 20 years ago. It's definitely going to kind of make its way into the most physical sport we have.
I'm interested to see. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Diggs. Pat, I'm sure you're surprised to know that James is from Ohio. You know that?
That makes sense, though. I would have said it. If I was asked. If they gave me A through how many letters are in the alphabet, Ty?
26.
4. Okay, so if they gave me, all right, so one of you was off at least. I'm going to assume Ty was not. But if they gave me A through Z of options twice of states where James Harrison was from, Ohio would probably be the one that I would circle and guess, you know what I mean, if I was taking the test after listening to that. Diggs, what were you going to say?
I'm interested to see, because of all of his fines and how he was with the media, if he gets a chance at the Hall. I mean, he's got 2 Super Bowls, 4 Super Bowl appearances, 5 Pro Bowls, 5 first team, whatever, and then a Defensive Player of the Year. People forget how good James Harrison was sometimes.
Dominant. James Harrison was absolutely dominant.
He absolutely should get some consideration. Absolutely, especially when you run down the list of what he's done.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I said that about Vinatieri, right? They're going to have to look at his resume. They're going to have to look at his entire resume and say no. James Harrison, you look at his entire resume, and that was just a glimpse into it, let alone all of the the analytical stats they can get. They're on third downs. James Harrison, they'll be able to dig into all of that. I think he's going to get in. And by the way, hey, Ty, what will it be? Will it be a fucking Oscar he's going to win? Is that what this guy's going to win?
Probably an Emmy.
Oh, because it's on Stars.
Yeah, not a movie.
Well, until he does a movie. Then at Oscar when he has a movie next.
Yep.
Sounds like.
He said he's planning on knocking off Rock. What'd you say, Ty?
That is crazy, though, because if he, sucked at acting, if he's in 10 episodes, he's an integral part of this story. You know what I mean? He actually is going to have to be probably pretty good in this.
I'm very excited to watch him getting an acting coach and that whole thing, buying in, going. I like when people go all the way in.
Yeah. I want to see him. I want to just see him compared to other actors. Just look at him when he was sitting there on camera. His arms are so gigantic and so jacked at the same time.
He's absurd. Let's get to a break, and then we'll end this beautiful Wednesday, August 18th show. Big thanks to James Harrison, by the way. That was awesome. Did he probably pissed some people off somewhere, huh?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
If he's pissing people off, those are bold people to get angry at that guy.
You saw that head. Yeah. Do you want him rushing on you? No chance.
Dude, he used to use it too, and I know you got all jacked up whenever you heard how he was teaching tackling to his kids, huh, AJ?
It's a glancing blow. He didn't tell him to lower their head. I thought it was very, very informative.
What'd he say, huh, Hawk?
The Rydell. He wanted me to co-sign. The Rydell. Whatever you say, James.
Well, and then also, what you could have done there is, that Rydell that has made this nose here, too. You know what I mean? You could have. Because that's what you did, right? You just glancing blowed that thing all the way down onto your nose every time you hit somebody?
Well, yeah, especially early on, like in high school, and my helmet came off a bunch when I was early on with Green Bay. Because, yeah, I like my helmet loose, man. I don't want it skin tight to where it looks like your face is suctioned into there.
You're a fucking maniac. And from Ohio, makes a lot of sense.